Right there, I think.
That
Okay.
light will come on.
See how the light comes on? Yes. And your mic's on, okay?
Let's go ahead and begin the Education Administration Committee. Welcome, everyone. Appreciate you being here. We only have 6 bills, so we got a little bit lighter calendar than normal. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Representatives Baum, Bolso, Butler, Sapicki, Fritz, Gant, Gillespie, Haston, Hurt, Lafferty, Love, McKenzie, Parkinson, Reagan, Ritchie, Stevens, Warner, Vice Chairman Slater, Chairman White. Mr.
Here.
Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Members, anyone have a recognition? Chairman Lafferty?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just wanted to ask thoughts and prayers for my father-in-law today. He's got rolled in surgery just a little bit ago, and just want to ask thoughts and prayers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Well, speaking of thoughts and prayers, we always start a committee out with a prayer. And Representative Love, Representative Parkinson asked to lead the prayer today, but of course, here we are at 1:38 and he's not here. So would you, Representative Warner?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that wait just a few minutes before we start and can have the prayer when Representative Parkinson comes in. But I'll leave it up to you. Call the chair.
I tell you what, I'm just going to defer, so we can get started. I'm going to defer to Representative Love and let him lead the prayer, and we'll just chastise him for not being here on time. Representative Love, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If we will pray. God, we thank you for the chance to gather. We thank you for safe travel for those who've come great distances to be here. We thank you, Lord, for those who we will be focused on and working toward. God, we pray for healing for Representative Lafferty's relative. Pray, God, the success will go smoothly through surgery. Bless us, Lord, as we go through our deliberations, that we be mindful of each other. As I pray in your name. Amen.
Thank you, Representative Love. Appreciate that very, very much. Members, without any other business, let's go ahead and look at our calendar today. House Bill 2758 by Representative Alexander. You are recognized. You have a motion and a second. You may begin.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, committee. This is a really, really good bill. I'm going to steal Chairman Boyd's line, who he always says, this is a great bill. It is a good bill. But about 15 minutes ago, I realized I can make this bill better. And so with your permission, I would like to roll this bill for at least 1 week.
Without objection, Representative Alexander is asked to roll it 1 week.
Yes.
Okay, bill is rolled. HB 2758 rolled 1 week.
Okay, thank you.
Looking forward to even better. Item number 2, House Bill 2264 by Representative Hakeem. You're recognized.
Second.
You have a motion and second. I don't see any amendments, so you may explain your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In cooperation or working with Senator Watson and our local superintendent of schools, what we're asking in this bill, we have a school in the turnaround pilot program for intervention. And what is being asked is to be removed from that program. In reality, it would save $125,000 for 1 year. And bottom line is the vendor and what is being supplied and the school, it hasn't been a mesh work together. So we're seeking to remove the school from the pilot program. We're also saying in this bill that the vendor would be paid for work done. And that's where the additional 125, looking to another vendor going forward, it'll be reviewed as to how we'll proceed on that.
Thank you. It looks like you have the support of your Hamilton County Senator, Senator Watson,
And the school superintendent.
and school superintendent, and say Senator Hale signed on it in the Senate. Members, questions of Representative Hakeem on his bill? I don't see any questions. So any objection to the question being called? Did we give you a motion in a second? I think we did. Okay. So without objection, all those in favor of House Bill 2264, moving on to finance, indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Moves out to finance, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members.
Item number 3, House Bill 2272, Representative or Chairman Slater. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, committee. This bill would require the our State Department of Education to forward any guidance documents from the Federal Department of Education onto the appropriate committees here in the legislature. What this will do is will bring greater clarity to us as legislators as we enact policy for the students of our state. And with that, I stand ready for questions.
Members, for that explanation, Chairman Reagan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And to the sponsor, did you establish a timeline for them to refer it? They have a deadline they have to meet?
You recognize?
Yes, there is a timeline in the bill. And
This is for the record.
yes, there is a timeline in the bill, and it's outlaid clearly. Yes.
Further questions, Representative Chairman Slater? Seeing none, any objection to the question on this bill? Hearing none, all those in favor of moving House Bill 2272 to calendar and rules indicate by saying aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Moves out. Item number 4, House Bill 2251 by Chairman Sapicki. You're recognized. You got a motion and a second.
We'll be operating off an amendment, Chairman. It does not rewrite the bill, though.
Does not. Let's go ahead and, before we come back to your bill, do I have a motion second on Amendment 13937? It does not rewrite the bill. Would you explain the amendment, and then we can vote on it?
Thank you, thank you, Mr. Chairman. It does 4 clerical corrections in the bill, and if you want to follow along in the bill, I can walk you through it. And on the first page, under B2, it clarifies that an individual who may experience a sudden cardiac arrest event while the individual is on site of the school youth athletic facility within 3 minutes. That's the first change. Second change is on page 3 of the bill. Under section B at the top, the change is the word from may, must. The third change is on section 2. Shall, or the word shall replace the word encouraged. And then the last change is on page 5. Under the section E, right before the end, we'll be inserting after a comma, CERP, comma, which must include training in cardiopulmonary resuscitation, first aid, and the use of an AED. Mr. Chairman, that's what the bill does. The amendment does, sir.
With that explanation, questions on the amendment? Seeing none, all those in favor then of adding Amendment 13937 to House Bill 2251 indicate by saying aye. Opposed? The amendment has been added. Chairman Sapicki, we're now back on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And briefly, this creates the Smart Heart Act. It requires the governing authority of each public and non-public school that serves any of the grades 9 through 12 to maintain an automated external defibrillator, AED, that is accessible during the school day and during all school youth athletic activities in which students in any of the grades 9 through 12 are participating. Beginning September 1st, 2024, establish, review, and annually rehearse an athletics emergency action plan for responding to serious or life-threatening injuries sustained by students participating in school youth athletic activities, and develop, adopt, and annually review a cardiac emergency response plan. Members, if you remember watching a football game of the Buffalo Bills, Damar Hamlin had a sudden cardiac failure and basically died on the football field. And if it wasn't because of the training that team had and that automatic electronic defibrillator that was there, that athlete would have died, along with 3,000 other athletes worldwide every year. They were there for him. Mr. Chairman, I'm going to ask the committee to go out of session because we have a young man here who experienced the same thing, and he's here to tell his tale. And so with that, Mr. Chairman, I'm asking to go out of session.
Yes. Okay, we have a testimony by Mr. Linton Beck. If you would come forward, sir. We're out of session, and just make yourself comfortable there. And he's like, say, turn the mic on, and when you are ready, you may begin. And then we're also video stream, so just say your name for the record.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Linton Beck. I am a senior at Station Camp High School in Gallatin, Tennessee, in Sumner County, and I'm grateful for the opportunity that I have here to show my support for House Bill 2251. I would like to specifically thank Representative Sapicki and Representative Slater for this opportunity. So what happened was 2 years ago, I was sitting in my chemistry class and all of a sudden I had a cardiac arrest. Prior to this, I had no heart problems, no heart conditions. My school was trained by Project Adam to react to a situation such as mine, and they were prepared. And immediately, the emergency response protocol kicked in. Within 2 minutes, CPR started, and less than a minute later, an AED was in the room, and I received a first shock to restart my heart. That shock did not succeed in restarting my heart, and CPR continued. And then about 8 minutes, my heart was shocked again, and that restarted my heart. The attention that I got before the ambulance arrived not only saved my life, it also saved my functional life. Ultimately, my life was saved because my school was trained, equipped, and prepared for a danger that I didn't foresee, that I didn't know to foresee. And it's because of the training and preparation that they had that I can be here today in support of the Smart Heart Act. And I know this act will save lives across the state of Tennessee. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Beck. Appreciate that very much. So some of the committee may want to ask you a question, but understand that you had no indications of any heart issues before this point. Is that right?
Yes, sir, that is right. No indication.
Chairman Spickey, oh, okay, we got Chairman Slater.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I can't express to you how honored I am to not only welcome Linton here today, but his family as well. He mentioned they're from Gallatin, from Sumner County. And I know the Beck family on so many levels. And I'm just honored to have them here. With him here today is his mother, Regina Beck, if you'd stand, his father, Stephen Beck, one of his sisters, and then his grandparents as well, Mr. and Mrs. Beck. Let's make them feel welcome, if you would.
Thank you so very much, and thank you for those introductions. Thank you all for making the trip here in Linton. We have a question from Chairman Bolso.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon. Linton's pleasure having you here. Could you tell us how you're doing now and what your plans are for the future?
I'm doing very well. The attention that I received immediately after the cardiac arrest made, like I said, saved my functional life. So I'm not only alive, but I have improved in almost every other area. I've gotten higher scores in the ACT, run faster cross-country season. So the attention that I got was really important. As for future, I've applied to different colleges. I am looking mostly at Welch College in Tennessee as an option. So, yeah.
Thank you. Members, anyone else want to address Linton while we're out of session? Well, Linton, we're grateful that your school's prepared and everything is going great, especially for your parents and siblings and grandparents. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. We are now back in session. Members, we're still on House Bill 2251. Chairman Spickey?
I renew my motion. I'll let that testimony speak for the bill.
Okay. Any further questions of the committee? Chairman Reagan.
Thank you. I just want to, first off, say congratulations to that young man on your survival. But to the sponsor, we've tried to put AEDs in schools all across the state, and have had a measure of success. Unfortunately, from my research, I found out that functional checks of these devices are somewhat lacking. Do you have any information in that area?
You recognize, Chairman?
No, I don't, Chairman Reagan. That'd be outside the scope of the bill.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Representative Fritz?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Reagan had my question.
And let's go to Representative Ritchie.
I'm not going to say that Representative Reagan had my question as well, but it was part of it. But thank you, sponsor. Extremely important bill. AEDs, as we've heard from testimony, Linton, are extremely important. Is there something inside of the bill that goes over the training specifically? Can you touch base on that a little bit? Because I know that that's extremely important, knowing that the equipment is not expired, it's charged up, and that, and like he mentioned during his testimony, that it was due to the protocols and the training that was there is why it was effective. Can you kind of elaborate on that a little bit?
Chairman?
Yes, on page 4, establish a cardiac emergency response team at each public school that is responsible for carrying out the action plan, including response protocols. Each team is responsible for implementing and overseeing in sudden cardiac arrest. It also goes into here, identify the training required for members of the emergency response team and for any teachers. It talks about making sure, where is it here? Everything has to be reviewed at least annually by the local board of education and public charter school to make sure the teams can function in their way.
Okay, and to Chairman Reagan's point, we did have a bill several years ago. It is imperative that the school system have a policy in place where the batteries are replaced, signage is clear, and where these machines are for easy access. Further questions of Chairman Sapicki? Question's been called for. Any objection? Hearing none. All those in favor of moving House Bill 2251 out to GovOps indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Moves out. I'm out of order for a second, but I just saw where we have Lipscomb's Ideal Program students. Mr. Culberson, is that the group that just came in? Lipscomb's Ideal Program are here with us. So let's raise your hand so we can all see who we. Thank you all for being here.
Out of order.
Chairman Sapicki.
Yeah, I know I'm out of order, Mr. Chairman, but I'd like to welcome a very important member to our committee today. Representative Parkinson showed up. So Representative Parkinson, you were supposed to do the prayer today, and Representative Love covered you. So Mr. Chairman, I make a motion of this committee that Representative Parkinson has to do the prayer next week.
Yes, and the committee starts at 1:30. So we Central. So you're on for next week. Yeah. Yes, your name was called.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had one of our wonderful judges from Shelby County here and one of our magistrates. So I was a little late walking them out. I apologize for being late on the prayer, but Reverend Love, I put you in good hands. So thank you, sir.
Well, you're on for next week. Okay, we're now on item number 5, House Bill 1927 by Representative Chairman Sapicki. We have a motion and a second. I see no amendments. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, there are no amendments on the bill. It is what it says it does. House Bill 1927 authorizes each LEA and public charter school to reimburse a teacher 66% of their child care expenses paid each month by the teacher or for the teacher's dependent child to receive child care services through certain certified or licensed child care programs located within the jurisdictional boundaries of the LEA in which the teacher's school is located. It limits the reimbursement amount that a teacher may receive to $1,000 per month, which cannot be received during a month in which the classroom instruction is not provided to students. Governor Lee, in their State of the State, talked about coming up with incentives for our teachers to be re-engaged in the classroom as quickly as we can and attract more people to the teaching profession. This is one of the tools that we've come up with to work on this. It does have a hefty fiscal note on it. We are working hopefully with fiscal review, our finance, to hopefully find some loose change laying around, Mr. Chairman. So,
Thank you very much. I think it is an important bill. I know we have a fiscal note to address, but I just had a conversation today where our teacher pipeline is short, and teachers, this teacher has second child, but without child care, they can't afford to go back to their teaching. So providing this for our teachers is important. Anyone else want to address Representative Ritchie?
Thank you, Chairman. And I'd be remiss if I didn't end up just clarifying. I know that you said trying to find some loose change. I'm looking at the fiscal note on here, and it says $18.9 million on the increase on the state. And then down there in the subsequent years, when we get the year 26, 27 at the local expenditures of $50 million. I don't know if it's going to be probably the most appropriate thing for this bill is maybe roll it into the omnibus bill since it's gotten up there pretty high already also.
Chairman speaking.
well, to answer your question, I'm sure you could make that amendment if you'd like to on that bill and see if we get enough support for that part of it. I think this is a worthwhile proposition, but remember that 50 million is the locals 66%. Then they're going to get reimbursed that 24 million. So it's about 24 million between the locals and us up here. So
Representative Warner?
So could you, you hit on something there that caught my attention when you said the locals. So some of this cost will go back to the local county, LEAs. And could you kind of explain that, break it out a little bit better?
Chairman Spicky?
So Representative Warner, in the bill, when you read it, it talks about that it's a local opt-in. So if a county wants to opt into this and take advantage of this program, they can, knowing eyes wide open that they'll be responsible for 33% of the childcare. So there is no mandate coming from us. It's just giving the opportunity to get that funding source coming from the state to help out our teachers and stand behind our teachers and help them get back in the classroom and educate our kids.
Follow up?
And I like the idea, I do, but what I see here maybe happening, and maybe I'm wrong, but I see maybe some of the rural counties where they may struggle to provide this option, may pull teachers into some of the areas that can afford it. Shall that be a concern for rural counties?
Chairman?
No.
Thank you, sir.
Let's go to Representative Love.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And my questions are, I think, along the same lines. I just want to make sure I'm clear about this. It is a local option to do the reimbursement. The local will get money back from the state subject to our appropriations. Is that correct?
Chairman?
The fiscal note that you see is to cover the appropriations of the number of teachers already in the state that hypothetically will have children that would fall under this program. So Metro Nashville, if they want to embark on this program or whatever county, then that calculation is already in the numbers here to make sure that if Metro Nashville says we want to do this, that we'll have enough money. And that's why we've got to find the money from fiscal.
Okay.
Chairman Love, follow up?
And would this be, this is probably non-recurring dollars then?
Chairman
Or is it
Spicky?
recurring?
No, it is recurring ages. I think it's 6 weeks through 6 years.
Okay,
So it covers until they enter kindergarten or pre-K.
Follow up, Chairman?
thank you. And the reason I had a question about recurring is because I think in section C, it says subject to appropriation, almost as if it would have to be appropriated every year.
Correct. Oh, sorry.
Chairman?
Correct, to meet our obligation, yes.
Okay.
Because it could fluctuate every year what our commitment would be.
Let's
Thank
go
you,
to
Mr.
Chairman.
Thank
Okay, let me get Lafferty, then come back to you, Chairman. Chairman Lafferty?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I understand that part of the reason for this bill is to help with teacher retention or help promoting teachers. Hopefully, we will reach a point again where we've got enough teachers. Is there any kind of sunset on this bill, or is this in perpetuity going forward?
Chairman?
No, if we ever reach a point that we have enough teachers in the pipeline, then those teachers that are in the system already, it would phase itself down as their children progress through.
Follow up?
I'm not sure that we're talking about the same thing. Let me try it. Let me ask another way. This program, once we enact it,
Yes.
it's going to be here as far into the future as we can see. Okay, so
Well,
it's limited to the age groups that you just described.
Chairman?
But going forward, this program will be there.
Follow up, Chairman?
so if we have this program where we have a child that's right now who's 1 year old, okay, and that teacher stays in that program, this bill will make sure that we find enough money to meet our obligation until that child reaches the age of 6 years, right? If we determine that now we already have enough children in the pipeline, and let's say we're looking at the next budget year and we want to discontinue this program, we won't take any new enrollees. Therefore, it'll sunset it over time.
Is this
Follow up?
is the sunset mentioned in the bill?
Well, it's subject to funding.
Subject to funding. Okay, thank you.
Representative Parkinson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I think you've done a very good job of explaining, normally when we say recurring funding, it means it's almost guaranteed to happen every year, right? But when we put that language in there, subject to appropriations, it might not be appropriated. So it's really not recurring, so to speak, because it's subject to the appropriation. Am I incorrect or correct on that?
Chairman speaking?
Well, I think you're in that, there's a gray area there, right? If we enroll a student into this, if we enroll a child into this program, then the obligation is we'll hang with that child because we met that obligation. The problem is that's going to fluctuate every year based off entrance and people leaving. So we don't know what that appropriation is going to be every year. So it's going to be subject to how much we need that we have to meet our obligation.
Gotcha. Check. Thank you.
Any more questions of Chairman Sapicki on House Bill 1927? What's that? The question's been called. Okay. All those in favor, without objection? All those in favor of House Bill 1927 going on to finance, indicate by saying aye. Opposed? Moves out to finance. Item number 6 on the calendar is HB 1909 by Chairman Bolso. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, committee members. This is a bill that seeks to amend 39-17-1309. Specifically, what the bill does is...
You have an amendment that rewrites Chairman Bolso?
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, yes, it's 013495.
That is correct. Remember, since it rewrites the bill, any objection to go ahead and, is it traveling with it? That's what you, okay. We don't need to do that. So you are recognized to continue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill provides that a public college or university in Tennessee may not prohibit an adult, and particularly a college student, from carrying on campus for personal defense a non-lethal weapon such as pepper spray, mace, a stun gun, or other electronic control device. It's got provisions in it that have been recommended by some of our universities where we have armed security like in Thompson-Boling Arena or Neyland Stadium. In those locations, someone would not be able to carry this type of a non-lethal device, but otherwise, a student, any other adult lawfully on campus would be able to carry such a device for personal defense. I'm ready for questions, Mr. Chairman.
With that explanation, let's go to Representative Love first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I apologize, sponsor. I had an amendment that I intended on filing, but did not get back in time to do it. The amendment would just simply add that the conducted energy device is approved for use by law enforcement agency with jurisdiction for the area where the device is carried or possessed. And I don't know the right posture, Mr. Chair, because it would be untimely filed, but I did want to discuss it with the sponsor, but before trying to attach it to his bill. That was my question to the sponsor.
Oh, thank you, Chairman. Yeah, I got that in my office and it was untimely filed. I did mention it to Representative Bolso. Representative Bolso, would you like to address?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. With respect, I like the bill the way it is without the amendment. So we would not agree to place the amendment on the bill.
Chairman Love.
It's a very good amendment. I know, it's just, you know, that's right. You know, just try it and see. All right. And I guess for me, my concern is just making sure that these devices are approved by law enforcement, but I respect your desire not to add to it, but that was going to be my concern, is to make sure that these energy conducting devices are approved by law enforcement. You don't want to have something that's not approved being carried by somebody, and then who knows what may happen. So that was my concern about that, and the reason I was bringing amendment. So thank you.
Thank you, Representative Love. But being it's untimely filed and the sponsor wasn't agree, maybe you can work with him between now and floor. Any further questions? House Bill 1909. No, you got Representative Parkinson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, sponsor, for bringing the bill. I'm actually supporting your bill. You know, this, you know, we find a hole in our process up here for me to be able to support it. I appreciate that. But my question, I'm just joking. My question is, have we determined or is it defined what non-lethal is? Because I think it possibly, you know, some point, even those, you know, things that we generally accept as non-lethal could, I guess, if you shock somebody for long enough, it could become lethal. Is that a possibility? Have we determined what non-lethal is?
Representative Bolso.
And I'm supporting the bill, so I'm just asking this as a general.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think the answer, Representative Parkinson, is that if a device, when used as designed, does not deliver force that would kill someone, it is a non-lethal device. And that's the way that I understand the term when in drafting the bill.
Representative Parkinson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I feel kind of slighted by the sponsor because he didn't quote any part of the Tennessee Code in his response to me. So, Mr. Chair, I'm going to cut it right there. But I will vote for your bill, though.
Anyway, that was a good one. Yeah. Okay, any further questions of anyone on the committee? Seeing none. Any objection to the question? Hearing none, all those in favor of House Bill 1909, moving out to calendar and rules, indicate by saying aye. Opposed? Moves out to calendar and rules. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, committee.
Committee, unless there's any further business from anyone, do I have a motion to adjourn? We're adjourned.